Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a really fascinating situation, the Agrarian Paradox in Maharashtra. Based on the 2017-18 economic survey, Maharashtra is basically an economic powerhouse. I mean, it boasts the highest growth in gross state domestic product and per capita income in the whole country. Plus, it's India's most urbanized state. But right in the middle of all that massive economic booming, there's a really profound challenge hiding in its most traditional sector.
Okay, let's dive into this with a statistic that's honestly quite striking. Despite Maharashtra being this absolute economic juggernaut, agriculture's share of the state's gross value added actually dropped to just 12.2% in 2016-17. To put that into perspective, it was up at 15.3% back in 2001-02. And when you remember that a huge chunk of the state's population still relies completely on farming and allied activities to survive, well, this shrinking economic footprint is a major paradox that we really need to figure out together.
When you think of Maharashtra's landscape, sugarcane farming is probably one of the first things that comes to mind. It's totally central to the state's identity. But behind those vast, sprawling fields, there's a whole series of compounding, day-to-day challenges for these farmers. It's definitely not just about planting and harvesting anymore. It's like navigating this incredibly volatile maze of economic and environmental hurdles. So, here is our agenda for today. 1. The Agrarian Paradox. 2. Core problems in agriculture. 3. Government development measures. And 4. The future of farming.
Section 1. The Agrarian Paradox, Economic Growth versus Declining Farm Share.
Section 2. Core problems in agriculture. All right, so looking at the economic survey, there are 10 general problems dragging the sector down, and we can basically split them into two buckets. The first bucket is structural and financial issues. Right off the bat, the farmers are dealing with a continuous decrease in the average size of their land holdings. Naturally, smaller land directly means lower farm productivity. Because of this fragmentation, we're seeing a huge increase in the number of small and marginal farmers who just don't have the scale to make a solid profit. Toss in a chronic lack of capital and mounting agricultural indebtedness, and you've got a really severe financial trap. Plus, even if a farmer manages a great yield, the lack of proper marketing facilities means they're really struggling to get a fair price for all that hard work. Then, we have the second bucket, environmental and infrastructure issues. Honestly, the sector is just getting battered on this front. We're seeing severe soil degradation, mainly driven by the excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Then you add in the poor implementation of land reforms and adverse crop patterns, and the whole foundation of the farming system gets weakened. Physically, farmers are dealing with persistent dry lands, totally inadequate irrigation facilities, and improper implementation of rural development plans. Oh, and hovering over all of this, the massive, unpredictable impact of climatic changes. It's literally a perfect storm of external pressures. So when you stack all these harsh realities side by side with the sheer necessity of survival for these farmers, it becomes super clear why targeted state intervention isn't just an option, it's an absolute imperative to prevent a total collapse. I mean, the free market alone just isn't going to fix deep-rooted issues like dry land, sweeping climate impacts, and generational debt. The state absolutely has to step in and balance the scales.
Section 3. Government Development Measures.
To tackle all this, the government is rolling out a two-pronged attack to revitalize the sector. First up, immediate inputs and finance. The state is making sure quality seeds get distributed at reasonable rates, they're increasing the number of outlets for fertilizers and pesticides, and they're offering financial assistance tailored to what farmers actually need. On the flip side, they are building out long-term infrastructure and markets. We're talking major irrigation development, electrifying agricultural pumps, and a big push to provide electricity on demand. And to fix those marketing problems we talked about earlier, they're setting up agriculture produce marketing committees, or APMCs, along with agro-export zones, horticultural training centers, and specialized grading and packing facilities to make distribution way more effective.
Section 4. The future of farming, making agriculture profitable.
Ultimately, all of these interventions are pointing toward one massive paradigm shift for the state's rural economy. The explicit goal, which is actually the final measure outlined in the survey, is to use mass media to get agricultural information out there and educate farmers. By creating this widespread awareness, the whole objective is to fundamentally transform agriculture. They want to take it from this exhausting cycle of debt and low yields and turn it into a truly profit-making business. Because in this context, knowledge is just as crucial of an input as seeds or water.
I'm going to leave you with this really provocative thought pulled straight from the source material. If we actually implement these market reforms, How drastically would the economy change if farmers bypassed the middlemen entirely? Seriously, think about it. If the new infrastructure lets farmers sell directly and keep those margins for themselves, could that finally reverse the agrarian paradox we started with? Well, thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep exploring these vital questions.